Let me ask, first of all, if you think the amount of time we have left is sufficient to make a deal.
Well, certainly we're all under enormous time pressure. The UK government has ruled out that they won't be ready to extend the transition period. This means we have to conclude the negotiations by the 31st of December this year. This, in practice, means that latest by 31st of October, we need a ready legal text, a finalized text, in order to start the ratification process. So we've got exactly 4 months left.
Do you think that the UK wants a deal, David?
2 weeks ago, the high-level meeting took place. I was honoured to be with President Sassoli, the President of the European Parliament. So I followed the meeting, and both sides agreed after the high-level meeting that they want to intensify the negotiation process and to, quote, create the most conducive conditions for reaching agreement before the end of 2020, unquote. So both sides have stated this, and that's why I still believe that the UK government is interested in finding a deal, but it won't be easy.
I mean, each side probably wants a deal on its own terms, I'm sure. Is the strategy of, running down the clock and sort of forcing the other side into giving you what you want a concerning one to you, David?
Well, it's a British choice that we are under this enormous time pressure. The European Union would have been ready to extend the transition period, especially regarding all the consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic, but we have to accept that the UK government has clearly ruled this out. So what we now have to do is find tangible progress in all areas in parallel. This includes especially level playing field, fisheries, police and judicial cooperation, criminal matters and governance questions. And one thing is clear, European citizens and businesses want clarity on what to expect on the 1st of January next year. So I still hope for the best. I still hope that we can find an agreement. But of course, in parallel, we need to step up our no-deal preparations.
David, when we look at the list, and you listed some of the sticking points there, when we look at the list of sticking points, it doesn't seem to have shifted all that much. We look at level playing field requirements, fishing, state aid, the role of the ECJ. Is there any area, if you could pick out one area where you think maybe by the EU flexing a little, progress might be made? Is there one?
Well, both sides have agreed that they really want to use the next 4 weeks, the month of July, to intensify the talks. They're supposed to be more political, more focused. I think it's good that the negotiators are meeting in person, are no longer through video conference. So there's willingness, I guess, on both sides. But indeed, we have to see tangible progress. We can't carry on like after the third and after the fourth round, where dozens of negotiators on both sides met to discuss the details, but there wasn't real political momentum. I can just say for the European Union that we are eager to conclude an ambitious and fair agreement, but it has to be one without compromising our principles, especially the integrity of the single market. And what we expect is that the UK government transmits what was agreed mutually in the political declaration last year into practical proposals. So I think there are many, many landing zones. I think one of the fields where we could, with goodwill, find a solution is fisheries, because one thing is clear, nobody questions the sovereignty, the UK sovereignty of their territorial waters since the 1st of January next year. But on the other hand, the UK wants to sell their delicious fish to the largest single market in the world, and that is the EU single market. So if the fisheries agreement is an integral part of the overall trade agreement, these are kind of steps, practically, how we can perhaps move forward.
Yeah, I have to say, when I hear you talking about huge issues like level playing field, state aid, and the European Court of Justice, it does seem a little bit silly to worry about fishing in UK waters. Let me ask you something more EU, more German-focused, David, if I may. You're about to take over, as in Germany is about to take over the EU presidency here. What do you think Angela Merkel can achieve to really cement her legacy in this role?
An EU Council presidency is always demanding, even for a large country like Germany. And of course, in these very challenging times, the expectations of the German EU Council presidency are enormous. In the end, these 6 months have to be about managing the crisis in a collective and sustainable manner with a view to the future. I think the leitmotif of the German EU presidency formulates this well: gemeinsam Europa wieder stark machen, which means in English, together making Europe strong again. That's what it's all about. This crisis has hit us all. It has hit some even harder than others, but we're all together in this, and that's why we have to show European solidarity. And Angela Merkel is an experienced leader. She's been in power since 2005. She knows Europe extremely well, and she knows exactly that even a large country like Germany is heavily dependent on the functioning single market. That's why we have our very own interest in Germany to show solidarity and to help our partners who have been so hard hit, like France, Spain, and Italy.